Hi everyone, Darian the Eclectic back again. Today I want to talk to you about my MFA program. If you are a writer interested in writing fiction and you have the ability to go to school, I think earning a master's of fine arts in creative writing, in fiction writing, or my particular program, writing popular fiction, is well worth the expense, the time, the energy that it takes for you to be a part of that. And so, spoiler alert, if you came here to see if I recommend it or not, I do. So if that's all you wanted to know, thanks for stopping by. But I actually wanted to give you a lot of information about what the particular MFA program I am a part of includes, so that you have some of that information on the back burner in case you're interested. So the program that I'm a part of is actually through Seton Hill in Pennsylvania, and it's a low residency style of a master's degree. We go back for 1 week every 6 months. And it's essentially the beginning of the next term. We spend 1 week going to classes, critiquing each other's work, spending time and just hanging out, and then hearing from guest speakers and other authors and people who have, different styles of writing, different styles of publishing, bestsellers, and people who've been in the game for a really long time. And then we end the residency, we go back home and we start our term writing project, which is essentially 6 months of turning in pages month after month to our mentor. Now, the mentor is someone you are assigned while you're in the program who is already an author, has been an author for a long time, has published many books, and they are actually part of the faculty at Seton Hill. And so the benefit of this is that once you turn in your pages to them every month, you get feedback from them as well. And now, you are guaranteed feedback in the form of written down, annotated in the margins, things that you did well, things that you needed to work on. If you're following genre, pacing, anything you can think of, your mentor can give you advice on that and correct you on that. They can also get on a video call with you in some cases and talk through it if that helps you better. Now, you're also sending those pages to your critique group. And my critique group consists of between 3 and 4 people. Sometimes people bounce around. And so you're submitting to them as well, and you're going through and you're critiquing as if you were their mentor and sending back their pages with written feedback and line by line edits and things like that as well. And what we do, not every group does this, what we do is we'll get on video calls and we'll actually talk through those edits together, which we found is really helpful, not just in understanding what is meant by their critiques and their words and everything, but also it's a great ego boost to hear them say like, no, I know you thought it was horrible, but that was great. I loved that about your writing, or that scene was killer. There's so much about it that helps you stay motivated to keep writing for the next month, because it becomes a slog after a little while, right? It's a job. So even as you're writing your first book, know that going through it is always difficult. And then you get to the end and you have to start back over with the edit. So having a group of people, a support network there to help you as part of the program is great for accountability, great for morale boost, and really helps you get through it. So again, once you've returned from residency, you've got your term writing project, but you've also got an online class. Usually what those online classes are is reading in a particular genre. Now, I've taken speculative fiction, I've taken romance, I've taken mystery, but I've also taken, new voices and blockbuster first novels, popular novels courses. So it doesn't just focus in on a particular genre. It also focuses in on the different types of categories out there. So if these were best-selling books, what made them best-selling books? And they could be across many different genres, but all of them were best-selling books, or maybe best-selling debut novels, things like that. So while you're working on your term writing project, you're also required to read several books and then go in and discuss them with the class. And that's all you're working on throughout the next 6 months. And that might sound like a lot. You just got back from a 1-week vacation, essentially, that is learning, which is by far one of the most fun parts of the entire program. We have genre dinners, we hang out, we play card games, D&D, board games, all kinds of stuff. And it is an absolute blast. And as someone who did their bachelor's degree online, this is the first and best experience of going to college and being with my peers that I have had. But I'll also say that this graduate program has been by far more fun and way easier than finishing my bachelor's degree, which took me way too long. because I was doing it while working full-time. So if you're interested in joining a Master's of Fine Arts degree program for writing your book, Seton Hill is definitely something I recommend, but any program could be great for this. A low residency program so that you don't necessarily have to quit your job, but you can still take time away to go and experience that with your friends. So a little bit more about the residency. So 1 week every 6 months, June and January, you go back for that week and you spend time in classes learning about how to write. You'll be taught by authors who are PhDs in writing, creative writing, or they are best-selling authors with many, many books published. They know their stuff, okay? They're qualified to teach, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to be a part of this particular program, is because I did not want to go to a graduate program that was gonna have me write essay after essay and turn them into someone who is a great teacher, maybe, but is not necessarily a published author or a multi-published author, which is what I was looking for. The experience for someone who has walked the road that I would like to walk. And this is what you get with this particular program. As well as sitting through classes where you're learning the nitty-gritty about how to write a novel and everything that goes with it, you're also going to have to write a short story every 6 months, or take a part of your current thesis, the novel you're working on, and then you'll sit in a workshop with other writers, maybe people you've worked with before, probably people you haven't, from all categories of how long they've been here, from ones, people who are here for the first time, all the way up to sixes, where this is their last residency and they'll be graduating at the end. And you'll get feedback from all of these different students, as well as the instructor facilitating the workshop, who is also an author and possibly a PhD themselves in creative writing. And so you'll get great feedback on a smaller piece that you've written so that you can have a bigger picture over how you're doing, and you can gauge it with each residency. And what a lot of people like to do is actually experiment and write something completely different with each residency. So if they have a sci-fi thesis, maybe they're going to write romance and try their hand at that for a particular workshop at a particular residency. And it shows you where you can grow, and it lets you experiment and take risks that you can then maybe move into your work after this novel or put it into this particular novel. Now, this particular program is 2.5 years long. You'll go to 6 different residencies. So that's six-month periods, and then you'll graduate at the 6th one. So it's about 2.5 years. And then you can always go back for what they have is the Right Life Conference, I think. I'm gonna have to double check that, but they do have a conference that used to be exclusive to alums. Now they allow anybody to come and attend the conference, but you can go back and you can see, basically have class reunion every year, but then also get more instruction and more guidance from other writers and networking and writing together and workshopping. And so it's kind of like you get to return to residency again every year if you wanted to fly out to Pennsylvania and attend the conference. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the thesis. Now, they have a word count limit, and this is relatively new. I think it started a couple of years ago when, there were a lot of Brandon Sanderson fans out there trying to write, 400, 500 word books for their thesis, and the mentors just couldn't keep up. Their critique partners couldn't keep up. It was a lot for them to take on as potentially a first-time author, having to write this 500-page book in the span of 3 years, when they've still got to go through and edit it after writing it and doing all this work. And it's a lot to ask of not just the individual writing it, but the people involved in helping them make it better. And so now I believe the cap is 90 to 100,000 words. However, having said that, and don't tell them I told you, I think almost everyone I've talked to who's in fantasy and sci-fi is going over that word limit. So, which is fine, because you can totally cut the words, right? And a big thing they say is like, just get to the end, do everything you've got to do to make this good enough to graduate, because you can continue editing afterwards. And 90% of people do continue to edit their work even after they graduate, and work with editorial staff and people when they are working toward that publishing step. But it's kind of the soft rule that you don't torment your mentors too much with going over 100,000 words. So I need to do some cutting. And with that, you're turning in pages every single month. So when you're at residency, you'll sit down with your mentor and you'll go through a contract. And in that contract, you'll iron out what your requirements are. So by the end of the 6 months, not only will you need to have hit a page count number from your thesis, usually they expect 60 to 90 pages completed by the end of that particular term, which means, doing the math, you're turning in 25, 30 pages a month to stay on top of or a little bit ahead. But by the end of the 6-month period, you're also turning in a book report on a creative writing or instructional book that your mentor has asked you to read. And it's super short. It's like half a page, just so that they can see you've read it and what you think about it and that you've learned something. And then a self-assessment, which is also about half a page, 250 words, 400 words, in Microsoft Word, to give them an idea of how you think you've improved. And then they'll assess you at the end as well and let you know where your weaknesses are and where you need to start working on different elements within your writing. Now, depending on your word count goal and where you are as you get closer and closer to the end of your time with the program, that word count, that page count might have to creep up, which it often does, especially with those of us who are maybe nearing too close to that cap. And so what I am doing as I turn in the last of my pages is I've actually been turning in 70 to 75 pages every single month, with the exception of I am about to finish my third act completely. And so I asked them if I could skip turning in 1 month so that the next month I could just turn in double the amount, which is essentially, it's the same amount of pages that they asked for. I'm just not turning it in on time. I'm waiting an extra month to give them the whole package because I have to do some rearranging and things. And we can talk more about my writing process and what all of that looks like in a different video. So let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But just know that for this particular program, the goal is to have a publishable manuscript of a certain genre, of a certain word count by the end of your time with the program. And so the mentors, your critique partners, the program faculty all work really hard to help you get there and to set you up for success. Now, what I didn't mention before was when you are at 1, the first residency you attend, you'll actually sit down with your first mentor. You'll end up having 2 mentors, one in the first half of the program and then one in the second half. But in the first half, in that first residency, you'll sit down with that first mentor and discuss how you want that writing project to go, what topics you want to cover, what genre you want to cover, and your mentor will help you decide if this idea has legs for you to create a novel with. And what I've realized is a lot of people who are in the program actually already had this novel in their head, or they've made an attempt at it, maybe for the past 12 years, they've been working on it. So a lot of people show up already knowing exactly what they want to write. And so they check the boxes with their mentors and off they go. Other people, like me, show up with a tentative idea and maybe a few thoughts on something different, and then walk away from that meeting deciding to write something completely different. So I came to that first residency and I was like, I'd like to write a story about a witch and how she learns all about witchy stuff. And I walked away from it writing something more like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi dystopian cyberpunk. And that's kind of the direction I went with my thesis. And I absolutely love it. It's been so much fun. But I mean, that's what's so great about this program, is because there are people there with all kinds of experiences, and they can tell you if how this is going to go for you and if this is a good fit, or if maybe you should consider something else as well. Now, this video is not sponsored by Seton Hill, but I will leave their link down below so that you can go and check out the program if you're interested. The only reason I'm even creating this video is to let you know how much I've loved the program. It has been an absolute joy to be a part of. And like I said, it's been so much easier, it's felt like, than working on my bachelor's degree, which I think I hated every second of. And I never want to write another essay on Shakespeare for the rest of my life if I can help it. But if you're interested, I highly encourage you to check it out. You can see things like financial aid and the admission requirements and things like that by visiting the link below. Poke around, find the Masters of Fine Arts Writing Popular Fiction program in there, and take a look if you're interested. Okay, so the battery died, and you might notice the lighting is a little different, and that's because I had to wait for the battery to cool down on the camera. But all I wanted to say was, if you had any more questions about the MFA program, it doesn't have to specifically be about the Seton Hill MFA program, but how this kind of program works, what the expectations are, anything like that, just drop your question in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can let me know that you liked this content so I can create more of it. And if you have any writing questions, let me know, because I'm going to be doing an entire series on how to write your book, all the different steps you can take to get through the nitty-gritty, all the way to the big picture of things, editing, revisions. I've been through all of it, so now I can tell you how it went for me, and hopefully that helps you get through yours too. Until next time, this is Darian, and I'll see you around the channel.